So, the good news is the better you are at vision therapy, the more patients want to see you. Your explanations, your instincts, your ability to know when something isn't working and how to pivot. And at first, that feels amazing because it means that patients trust you, families talk about you, and your outcomes stand out. But eventually, that becomes the thing your entire practice depends on. Last week, we talked about something that I think stays with almost every vision therapy doctor: the patients you knew you could help who never move forward. And it's not because they didn't need it, not because they didn't believe you, but because they couldn't make the logistics work. They felt overwhelming, and the commitment felt impossible. The model that you were offering just didn't fit their life. And I think a lot of doctors are sitting in this tension right now because we genuinely want to help more people access this care, but we also don't want to dilute what makes it work. And that's where conversations start to shift. Because if more patients are ever going to get access to high quality vision therapy, we have to understand what patients are actually getting from us in the first place. I think this is one of the biggest things vision therapy doctors struggle with, but almost never talk about. Because when people look at your practice from the outside, they think, wow, they're so busy. They must be doing great. Patients love them. And maybe all of that is true. But behind the scenes, you're answering the same questions over and over again. You're explaining suppression the same way every day. You're helping families through compliance issues. You're adjusting how you explain things depending on the patient in front of you. You instinctively know when a patient is about to hit a wall, when a parent is overwhelmed, when a therapist needs to pivot, when someone is going to stop following through. You know all these things because we've experienced all these things. And the truth is, that's the real value of your practice. Not just the exercises, not just the activities, but the way you think. That's the methodology. And here's where this starts to get hard because the better your outcomes become, the more your patients want direct access to you and only you. They want your interpretation, your reassurance, your explanations, your thought process, because that's the part that actually makes them feel safe moving forward. And eventually, you wake up one day and realize my entire practice depends on my brain being in the room. And that creates a ceiling. Not because you're doing anything wrong, actually, the opposite. It happens because you're really, really good at what you do. But now, every difficult case comes back to you. Every therapist needs your guidance. Every patient wants your input. Every explanation depends on you repeating yourself again and again and again. And meanwhile, you still have patients who need help and never start because there are only so many hours you can work, patients can travel, families can commit to. And those two realities start colliding. The more valuable your thinking becomes, the harder it is for more people to access it. And I think a lot of doctors believe the only solution is, okay, I need to build something completely new, or I need to hire more therapists, or we need to open more hours. And it still relies on the same underlying philosophy. And I actually think that's the wrong way to look at it because your methodology already exists. You use it every single day. It's the patterns you recognize, the sequencing you use, the way you motivate patients, the way you troubleshoot, the way you explain difficult concepts simply. You're already repeating your methodology constantly. You just haven't extracted it yet. And this is usually the moment where doctors get nervous because the immediate fear becomes, if I try to expand this, do I dilute the care? And honestly, you should be asking that question because vision therapy is too important to turn into generic exercises, random videos, watered down care. That's not what this is about. But I also think there's something important we need to recognize. What dilutes care isn't extending the methodology, it's removing the doctor from it. Those are two completely different things. And I think this is the shift that's happening right now in vision therapy. The practices that are going to expand their reach are not the ones replacing themselves. They're the ones learning how to preserve their thinking, their structure, their guidance, their methodology in a way that reaches beyond their physical schedule. Because at the end of the day, your patients don't want just exercises. They want clarity, confidence, interpretation, direction. They want to feel guided, and they want to feel guided by you. And that's what your methodology actually provides. And this is exactly what we're diving into tonight during our episode 2 of our webinar series. Not how to create computerized therapy. We're not diving into that. But how to identify the real value inside your care and begin structuring it in a way that helps more patients access it without compromising the thing that makes your outcomes different in the first place. Because I really believe this. The most valuable part of your practice is probably something you do so naturally now, you don't even realize how valuable it is. If this resonated with you, join us live tonight at 8 Eastern. We're going to get deeper into what this actually looks like in practice. The link to register is below. Because when we boil this down, the better you are at this work, the more people need you, the less accessible you are. How do we change that? I don't think enough people are talking about this. Let's talk about it more tonight at 8.